So on today's episode of Solo Leveling, we are picking up after we ended off with in Japan there being a giant freaking gate that appeared in the heart of Japan. And we kick off with seeing the Blade Guild, which this was Ryuji Goto's guild. They have now gone through a bit of hard time recently since Goto's death, however. It says that they lost 7 S ranks during the Jeju Island raid. And the scheme that the chairman was doing, where he's like, let the Korean hunters die and then Japan can take the all the praise for it. That's kind of known now. So Japan's not too happy about that. I mean, obviously Korea isn't happy about that either, but it's kind of known what went down on Jeju Island, right? And pretty much it's told that, they're no longer the top guild anymore. There's a rumor going around that the Phantom Guild is going to acquire the Snowy Mountain Guild, so 2 guilds are going to combine their forces and they will match the Blade Guild. So yeah, it's pretty much just giving you a little state of the union when it comes to the Blade Guild, that they are no longer the top dogs in Japan, and they're kind of not seen as in a much good light since what happened on Jeju Island. So then we pretty much just get a scene where a bunch of the Japanese officials are like, what the hell, we need to get a bunch of hunters here in Tokyo, because if that dungeon, if that that portal breaks and it becomes a dungeon break, it's gonna be crazy. We don't need that, right? So they're asking, maybe they can get hunters from other countries to come in, and help. But a lot of countries aren't really up to, sending their hunters here, even after they're like, we'll pay a bunch. They're like, yeah, well, we kind of have our own problems to deal with because we have our own gates, right? Because remember, Chairman Go had said there's a lot more gates coming, but there's a lot more hunters coming as well. So it's kind of like the world's trying to balance it out. So eventually it ends up with them saying there is a hunter who can help, which is the barrier specialist Yuri Orlov. So that's who looks like that Japan is set on hiring. So we go back to Korea with Sung Jinwoo. And Jinwoo's kind of just he's got the key to the Cartenon temple at level 100. His job-specific skills have leveled up at level 101, so he's excited to see what happens when he reaches level 102. He goes back to the Ajin Guild's base, and he sees Cha is there. And he's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, well, I left my car in the parking lot. And he's like, oh yeah, I did use Shadow Exchange last time to move us, so yeah, she left her car here. She then asks him if he's free because she has something she needs to tell him. In her head, she obviously has much different things to ask. She wants to ask him, why did she take the photo with Su Young? Does she work with the Ajin Guild now? If so, why did you pick her, not me? Are you dating? But she does not ask any of that. She said that Byung-gu wanted me to relay a message to you about your powers, which we found out in the last couple chapters, that she actually was given a message. So the message that she finally gives him is from Byung-gu, and we get some really, again, nice, beautiful art. So Byung-gu says, tell him to be careful of the powers that lie within him. Someone pulled me out of the endless darkness, but I was no longer myself. I still was conscious, and my sense of self was still intact, but I felt as if I had become a slave, provided to serve him and only him. But the scarier part is I felt happy to serve him. His powers are incredibly strong and frightening. He must be informed of this. Remember, Hunter Sun Jinwoo's true army is... And then we don't find out what the rest of that says. Instead, we get a picture of Jinwoo eating a sandwich. Yum. So Jinwoo's just like, okay, right now what the most important thing for him to do now is find out what the source of his power is. He's like, that's the most important thing to do right now. So he is in a dungeon with Jinho right now. They're just letting his shadow monsters kind of just go about doing what they want. Jinho asks how's Jinwoo's sister been because of the whole gate attacking her freaking high school and she almost died thing. And Jinwoo was like, yeah, she'll be safe. I got a shadow following her, so we're good. And he's going to check up on her. And he uses a new skill called Shadow Save, which allows for shared senses between him and Shadow. So he can see what his shadows see. So he sees Jinha. She is asleep in bed. And Beru is watching TV. Cool. Love Beru. He's just watching TV. And he's like, oh, that's why Beru started talking funny. He's just watching historical dramas. Hey, man has his favorite shows. Let him watch. There's another shadow following his mother, who is at the grocery store. He's got another shadow following Yunho Beck. And all his craziness. And then he's got another shadow following Cha. Unluckily for Jinwoo, she's having a bath. So Jinwoo, typical protagonist, goes, I didn't mean to see anything. So there we go. Jinho then asks that, I heard Japan's been recruiting hunters from all over the world. Have they contacted you yet? And Jinwoo was like, yeah, I got one. I'm still thinking it over because I got something else to think about, which is, of course, the key to the Cartenon Temple. Which he has to still wait because he has to wait for a time limit to end, and then he can find out where the Cartenon Temple actually is. So he's gotta wait a bit. So from there, we go back to Japan, where Yuri Orlov is finally here. He is known as the best support type hunter in the world, and he is an S-class hunter. So he asks, is it true that Japan can only send 6 S ranks on this mission? And the new head of the Blade Guild says, yes, 1 S rank from each guild must stay behind to take care of all the A rank gates that have spread across Japan. The same goes for our guild. The 3 of us are going to participate in the raid while 1 S rank hunter stays behind. And Yuri's like, how do you... and Yuri's like, okay. And he makes his offer. $3.6 billion a year. $10 million a day is what he's asking for. That's his payment for saving the gate. What type of goddamn world are we living in where people can just casually ask, pay me $10 million a day? And then it gets even worse, because then we find out that Thomas Andre from America asked for $36 trillion. What the hell? Again, what world are we living in where a guy's like, yeah, you pay me $36 trillion and I'll help you? It's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. So then Yuri asks, would you rather save your country for $10 million a day or give up just to save some cash? And he's like, I don't think you really have time to be picky now. So, the 2 other S ranks are not happy about this. They think Yuri is like, insulting them. But Yuri uses his powers to like freeze them in place. Kind of, showing off his powers and how strong he is, that, he can even stop S-rank hunters. So the commander of the Blade Guild is like, he's like, well, I don't know if the government would approve this. And he goes, no, it's fine. Because this is all he has to do, right? This is the only option, really, he has for his country. So, back in Korea, Jinwoo is getting ready for something, and his mom's like, kind of worried about him, but he's like, it's fine, I just have an appointment, I'll be right back. And the Cartenon Temple's location is finally revealed to him. Where is it? It's his sister's school. It's his sister's school. So Jinwoo shows up, and he's like, how long has this gate been here? And she's like, 3 days. And he asks, have any hunters gone in? And they're like, yeah, about 2 hours ago. And he says, call them back, they're in danger. And they're like, but the gate's only a C rank. And he's like, no, you need to get them out or they will die. So inside the gate, the guild is like, they've done their duty. They've killed all the monsters, but then they see the door. The same door when Jinwoo was in the double dungeon. And they're like, well, the door's not opening. how do we do this, right? They're kind of worried. They're wondering like, well, what the hell? We can't just leave this, you know. And Jinwoo shows up and says, "All you get the hell out of here now. You're all going to die. This is extremely dangerous." So Jinwoo uses the key, opens the door, and one of the guys just like, the Dragon Guild purchased the raid permit for this. You don't have the right to tell us to leave the dungeon. And Jinwoo's just like, okay, you want to enter? Go ahead. And so the guy who told them, you know, we paid for this, he's like, I'll go in. And he almost dies because one of the statues wakes up and almost slices him in pieces. And Jinwoo quickly grabbed him out of the way before he could die. And Jinwoo was like, they're all like that. You sure you want to go in? No, now they're all more than happy to leave him to take care of it. So Jinwoo enters, the door closes, and there they are. It's all the same statues. They're all there. They are all there. And Jinwoo's like, I'm back, but it's different now. So he stares at all the statues, finally figured out who is in charge of all the statues. And it's the same statue that has all the commandments, like the angel that has all the commandments, and the angel actually gets a face, a very threatening face, and it speaks to him and says, at last you have returned. And that's where we're going to end it off for this episode, because the next episode is going to be a very long one and a very exciting edition of the Solo Leveling Review, but this one won't be. This is setup. So for the next one, we will be going through chapter 125 through 129. So almost 5 chapters we're going to go through next time, because there is a lot to go through. But there we go. So we have in this 2 chapters, we found out that, you know, something's going on with Jinwoo's powers. He's finally going back to the Cartenon temple, and he's going to confront, you know, all the statues and everything that turned him into a player for the system. And we find out in Japan how they are planning to deal with their massive big gate that's looming over their freaking city. So there we go. That is Solo Leveling, another episode of reviewing the fun that is Solo Leveling. Let me know what you all thought of these 2 chapters in the comments down below, and I will see you guys all next time.